I woke up to the antiseptic stench of the hospital, IV needles in my arm, stitches running along my scalp. Days blurred into nights, but what cut deeper than the pain was the silence. He never came. Not a call, not a flower. The man I once called my husband, my only family, vanished the moment I needed him most. When I finally found the strength to call, his voice was colder than the machines around me. "I don't have time for a loser," he said, and hung up. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, hearing those words echo, "loser." As if the years I'd given him, the sacrifices, the trust, meant nothing. But he had made one mistake. He didn't know about the inheritance. I still remember the first night I met him. He had this easy charm, the kind of smile that made you believe you'd been chosen. I was 25, hungry for a future, convinced that love could be enough. For years, I bent myself into shapes he preferred. I worked late, paid bills, held our life together, while he chased schemes that always failed. And I thought I was patient, loyal, good. But patience breeds blindness, and blind loyalty invites betrayal. The accident stripped away more than skin and bone. It stripped away illusions. I began noticing what had been there all along. The late nights, the phone turned face down, the sudden showers before bed. And then the undeniable evidence. A lipstick-stained glass in our sink. A message flashing across his phone. "I can't wait to be your wife." Wife. The word burned itself into me. But I didn't rage, I didn't confront. Instead, I smiled when he came home late, and I listened carefully when he bragged about his big opportunities. Because in that moment, I knew exactly what I would do. The inheritance had been my secret. $13 million from an aunt I'd barely known. The timing was almost poetic. I never told him. Why would I? Instead, I quietly secured it. Lawyers, accounts in my name only, papers filed with precision. I rehearsed every step until the entire fortune was untouchable, except by me. While he was busy building a future with her, I was building his downfall. The day he finally showed up at the hospital, I was almost healed. I heard him before I saw him, laughing. And then the laugh stopped, because she walked in with him, a younger woman, perfectly polished, glowing with the arrogance of someone who thinks she's won. And then she saw me. Her face drained of color, her body stiffened, and the scream tore out of her like something primal. "Oh my God, she's my sister!" I let the silence hang. I watched his confusion, her horror. He looked between us, stammering, You never said?" "No," she cut him off, trembling, eyes locked on me. "You told me she was dead." Dead? He had told her I was dead? That was almost funny. I leaned forward, my voice calm, deliberate. Not dead, very much alive, and richer than you could ever imagine. Her eyes widened, piecing it together. His turned greedy, then desperate. He stepped closer. "We can fix this, you and me." I laughed softly. "No, you can't fix anything. Not anymore." Here's the beauty of planning. By the time he realized he'd been outplayed, it was far too late. I had already moved the money, tied up the assets, filed for divorce. Every account with his name on it was drained, legally, surgically. All he had left was debt. Mine cleared, his multiplied. The house he thought was his, gone. The car he drove, leased in my name. The credit cards he flaunted, canceled mid-dinner, mid-impression, mid-lie. Piece by piece, his world unraveled, and all he could do was watch. The final stroke came weeks later in court. He stood there with his new wife, who could barely look at him now, while my lawyer read out the details. Infidelity, fraud, financial abandonment. The judge's gavel came down like thunder. Everything he once owned was stripped. He was left with nothing but shame. And her? She realized she'd tied herself to a man with no fortune, no future, no integrity. I didn't need to destroy her. He did that for me. Now I sit in silence, $13 million heavier, but infinitely lighter in spirit. People ask if I miss him, if I regret the years wasted. I don't. He gave me the greatest gift without knowing it: clarity. He showed me what love is not, what loyalty is not, what I will never settle for again. And as for revenge, it wasn't the money, it wasn't the power. It was the look in his eyes when he realized he had lost. Not just me, not just the money, but the very illusion of control he had always clung to. That was worth more than $13 million. That was priceless.